After nearly 4 years of war, a new push for peace in Ukraine may be taking shape. Ukrainian officials announced that a common understanding has been reached with the United States on a proposed peace deal aimed at ending the conflict with Russia. The framework is based on a 28-point plan presented by Washington to Kiev last week. American and Ukrainian negotiators met over the weekend in Geneva, working through the details and refining the proposal. President Donald Trump later said the plan had been fine-tuned with additional input from both sides. Trump has instructed his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, to travel to Moscow next week for direct talks with President Vladimir Putin. In parallel, US Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll is expected to meet Ukrainian leaders in the coming days. These high-level meetings mark the most intense diplomatic activity seen in months. US officials also met Russian representatives in Abu Dhabi. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said that he is prepared to meet Trump to resolve what he called a number of sensitive points. Kiev hopes the meeting can happen before the end of the month. Zelenskyy emphasized the importance of American involvement, saying, "Much depends on America because Russia pays the greatest attention to American strength." Over the past several days, both sides have signaled progress. Zelenskyy confirmed that some of the most controversial elements of Trump's original 28-point plan have been removed. Trump, for his part, has stepped back from comments suggesting that Ukraine must move quickly to accept the terms, now simply saying, "The deadline for me is when it is over." Still, the path ahead is far from clear. Russia has warned that it has not been properly consulted on the revised draft. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Moscow had been open to the initial US framework but suggested that significant changes would create a fundamentally different proposal. As of November 25 morning, the Kremlin said it had yet to receive the updated text. Major disputes remain unresolved. Russia continues to insist on legal recognition of all the territories it currently occupies, including Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk regions, and large part of Kherson and Zaporizhia. Ukraine has repeatedly ruled out meeting that demand. Security guarantees for Kiev, another core issue, also remains undefined. Across Europe, skepticism is running high. French President Emmanuel Macron said he sees no Russian will for a ceasefire. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer echoed the caution, warning that there's a long way to go. Together, Macron and Starmer convened a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, a group of Ukraine's closest supporters. Joined by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they agreed to accelerate planning for long-term security commitments to Ukraine and even discuss the contours of a possible peacekeeping force. Meanwhile, fighting on the ground continues. Overnight strikes in the Zaporizhia region left several civilians injured and tens of thousands without power. As diplomacy intensifies, the stakes could not be higher. Tens of thousands have been killed, millions displaced, and the entire region devastated. Whether this new push for peace can bring an end to the war remains uncertain, but for the first time in many months, meaningful negotiations may be within reach.